final thing I'm going to show you is the fact that you have the ability to export this, right? So oftentimes you'll see people uh, build a work group and start communicating with one another, and eventually you get to the point where, hey, we need a context list, you know, a place where we can see what everybody's email address is and so forth. And so an application like this isn't used. Instead, what's used is somebody goes on Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel and starts building. And the next time you know somebody gets taken off or added onto the team, you got to go find the file and update it. And it's a it's extra work, right? If you're emailing with this new person, or you take the old person that's left the group off your contacts list, you're done, right? And you don't have to, and you're gonna have to do that anyways, because garbage in, garbage out, you don't want that, so you want to keep your data clean. And so it's it's better to just use one central location, which can be your contacts list, uh, to handle all that. When you need to build your spreadsheet, your database, whatever you want to call it, you can do it straight from here. And so the way you do that is you use your export function in your contacts application. And so when I hit export, it's asking me what I want to export, which contacts, and it says frequently contacted. I don't want to use my frequently contacted. I want to use my, and you can choose any of the above. And so I got my start contacts. I want to see what this frequently contacted is, but we'll just take the context, the contacts that I know, right? And you can send them out as a comma separated value format Google Sheet. It's just a spreadsheet. Same thing here. It's a spreadsheet for Outlook. The spreadsheet for Google, apparently, they probably hold different field names just based on whatever Google and Outlook use, or you can send it out as a V card for your Apple operating system, hence the I for iPhone. We'll just send it out as we'll export it as a Google CSV. And boy, yeah, you see down here how it's exported all of my contacts out there, but you'll notice something interesting. So I'm going to click on it. Now I have to change my share to new share, and I'm going to carry over to my spreadsheet on my screen. I'll share that, and I'll hide my floating meetings calendar controls. Alrighty, and so these are the 57 contacts that I just exported, and they export to a spreadsheet. I like to immediately shrink my font to size 8 when I know I'm going to have a lot of information, a lot of fields, right? And so a lot of those fields that you saw early, when I was doing my entry of those 2 vendors, you can find here, right? And so let me do something. I'm going to first and foremost shrink all of this to some manageable size and get everybody. Let's make it a little smaller. And now we're starting to see some of the other data, right? So now I can make this a little bigger. And I wonder how many of you have had this trouble, right? It's like, how am I going to fit all this in one screen so I can actually see it and make heads and tails of it? And some of you might try to do something like clicking here and then going to view and then freezing your panes, right? So that you can scroll without losing track of whose data you're looking at or what fields you're looking at. Geez, look at all that information, all that stuff that's been entered over time, slowly but surely, right? That's one way. Or if you know what data you want to use, right, of all these different fields, I mean, you can tell there are some fields that are huge. I mean, there's some fields that have no data in them and some that are being used a lot. Alrighty. Now, you don't want to remove any of them because this is going to be your template, right? So let's say you build, your phone list, your contacts list off of this particular spreadsheet. The next time when you update this data enough that you want to do another download, another export, but you want to keep the format that you used before, that format is going to be looking for all these field names to know exactly. It's going to expect this type of data to be, so it's whatever is in column R. Next time, that template that you're building is going to expect the same type of data to be in column R. And so you don't want to delete anything. What you want to do is create a pivot table, right? And so a pivot table is going to allow you to only pull from this raw data sheet the information that you want, right? Like I have here Alexander Kerm. His first name and last name is under the name field, and then it's also split up here as in given name, family name, and additional name. Is that what that says over here? See, additional name, yeah. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to format my cells and go to alignment and click on wrap text so that when, I shrink the column width to a certain size, it doesn't hide my the totality of, or half of the field name. It just wraps it around, and then I can at least read it, right? Okay, so pivot tables. Click here. Anywhere on the spreadsheet that's containing data, right? I click insert, and then I have my pivot table. Okay, now it's going to ask me, do you want to set up your pivot table on a new worksheet or on the same worksheet? I'm going to ask it to do it on a new worksheet. It's going to keep it in the same document called contacts right now, but it is going to give me a new spreadsheet, a new worksheet. So if I click OK, booyah, there it is. Okay, and so now I start building my pivot table. Here are all those fields. So where I saw all these field names here, well, they're all here now, right? And what that's telling me is, okay, choose your favorite and set it up. Your data will still get pulled from this contact sheet, but it'll show over here just as well. And let me just make sure that I am still in the right. I am sharing a screen. Looks like it's the right screen. Good, because yesterday I ended up not recording a bunch of stuff that I wanted to record. And so we're off. Okay, so before I get started, just based on my experience, I already know certain things I want in my design. So I click on my pivot table design, and I want my data to show in tabular format. I'm going to ask for no subtotals to be shown right now because it can get messy real fast. And I'm going to turn off my row and columns grand total. Okay, now the first row that I want to show is the name. I'll bring that under rows. Okay, once again, I have a lot of information, so I'm going to shrink the font. Alrighty, and then the other thing I'm going to do is on my pivot table, I'm going to left click and go to pivot table options, and I'm going to tell it to not auto fit columns on widths, column widths on update around some fields. And you find that, because the fields have different widths that you set up at the beginning, once you move them around, it auto fits. And sometimes you don't want that. So to have full control, you tell it don't auto anything, right? The only thing I do if I right click here under my pivot table options is I do ask it to preserve the cell formatting. All right, because that I'm not going to be switching around too much. Okay, so we can keep that constant. Okay, so I got my name. Now, what information about this person is important? The most important piece of information I gather from this individual is the email address. Give me 1 second while I find it. Actually, before that, it's my label, right? Because let's pretend now I only want to create a phone list, a contact list of my vendors. I'm going to need to find my vendors. And so I don't remember where my label field that was at the top was. So I go to my contact sheet, I do a Control F to find, and I'm going to look for the word vendor. And I say find all, and there it is, group membership. Ha-ha. Let's look one more time, vendor, and down there, vendor, and anyplace else? Nope, just those two. Makes sense because those are the only two that I've entered as vendors, and those were under group membership. Okay, perfect. So now let me go back to sheet, and now here I'm going to look for group membership, but since I have so many fields, I'm actually going to search for it. Group membership. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so now I grab it, make it my next row. And there you go, right? So you see now where the other vendor is down here, right? So I don't want to see all that garbage. And so what I do is I just click my drop arrow, which tells me I'm going to unselect everything, and then I'm going to select my vendor field and click OK. And now I'm looking only at those two contacts, right? Because those are the only two that are vendors. Now, then I just go ahead and choose any other information. Oops, I took that one out. Sorry about that. So let's try that one more time. Group membership, bring it down here, shows up there, it filters everything else out. What I don't want to do is uncheck it. I want to clear the search field. All right, and then I wanted to get the email address. Looking. Email. Okay. And so I don't really care right for this particular spreadsheet what type of email it is, right? All I care is about the value. So let's see if email one gives me that. There you go. Okay, so did that. There's the email address. We know that we don't have a phone number. We did have a rating though, right? Okay, and so now, oh no, I did grab the, so I have all the email information. I'm just looking here for other information. The organization, I didn't ask it for an organization type, but I did give an organization name. And so I'll bring that down. All right, there you go. So and we're batting 100 here. Okay, what other information did I? Oh yeah, I entered a custom field, and once again, I don't think I hope I didn't confuse type and value. Let's see what it gives me. No, that's not what I wanted. That's the value. I wanted the rating. Put that back. So bring down type. Hey! So there you go. Okay, so it gives me my rating for this particular. God, this bugs me. Bring down type first. And then the value. That's right, because I gave it an incorrect. I called one vendor rating and the other one rating when I should have called it the other, both vendor rating, right? So let's fix that.